Welcome to the Autism ADHD podcast. It's the place to be for neurodiversity affirming parents and professionals. I'm your host, Holly Blanc-Moses, the mom neurodivergent therapist. Here we chat about emotional regulation, mental health, social support, executive functioning, learning, and more, all aimed at empowering us to support kids and teens with compassion and understanding. I'm thrilled that you joined me today, and I've got some pretty exciting news to share with you. For those rock star therapists listening right now, I've created continuing education training that is tailor-made for you. Take a deep dive into cutting-edge strategies that you can start using today. The CEs you've wanted for so long are finally here. Go to hollyblancmoses.com/CE training and sign up. You are going to love it. The link is also available in the show notes. Now, if you are a parent or educator listening and you know a therapist or a psychologist that is passionate about supporting kids and teens, I greatly appreciate it if you could pass on this great news. Thanks so much again for your support, and let's get started. It's mid-January 2026. If you're already feeling tired, I want you to know that you are not alone. When you're parenting a neurodivergent child, your nervous system often stays in this reaction mode. You're always preparing, always thinking about what you can do next to support your child. And the worries can be heavy. And that's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you're trying to navigate a world that wasn't built for neurodivergent kids or their families. The school systems, healthcare systems, the constant advocating, the appointments, the judgment from people who don't get it. I am hosting a live online workshop called A Better 2026, A Gentle Reset for Overwhelmed Parents of Autistic and ADHD Kids. And I'd love for you to join me. This is not goal setting, trust me. It's not about fixing your child, and it's definitely not about adding more to your plate, because I know it is full, and not just full, it is overflowing. This workshop, it's about slowing down long enough to notice what's draining you and choosing just a few areas where things could feel lighter. It's 45 minutes. And then there's 15 minutes of question and answer where you can ask me specific questions. And there's also a replay that you get access to for 15 days. So if you can't show up live, that is okay. You can watch it anytime that works for you in those 15 days. The investment is $37 because you don't need a perfect plan, and you certainly don't need more willpower. You just need a gentler starting place. So head on down to the show notes. I'm going to put that link in there so you can register today. I cannot wait to see you. I want to start out by telling you a story. I was 7 years old when my teacher told my parents that I was bossy. I was bossing the kids in class, telling them what to do, and getting upset when they didn't do what I thought they should. I can still see that look on my dad's face, this mix of disappointment, frustration, embarrassment. And I did not know what I had done wrong. I was simply saying what I thought and pointing things out that didn't make sense to me, that didn't follow the rules. Bossy, rude, disrespectful, and demanding. Those words followed me through childhood. And eventually I learned that your words don't matter. How you say things is what matters, and you're the problem. I stopped talking. I stopped asking for help. I stopped telling adults when something was wrong, when something felt wrong. And I learned that my natural way of communicating was not safe. Now, as I step back in a very different time in my life, as a psychologist, as someone who is autistic, as someone who is an ADHD person who works with neurodivergent kids and families, and as a parent of two neurodivergent kids, I see these exact patterns. I see these patterns that are destroying the voices of children. When you correct a child's tone, instead of listening to their words, you're not teaching respect. You're teaching silence. I'm going to say this again because it's so important. When you correct a child's tone, instead of listening to the words they're saying, you are not teaching respect. You're teaching them to be silent. Today, we're talking about why your neurodivergent child, student, or client keeps getting called controlling, bossy, demanding, and the one simple shift that can change everything. Now, picture this. You drop off your child at drop off, and the teacher asks you to pull aside, and they say, "We really need to talk about your child's tone. They have been really bossy, really demanding," and your stomach just drops. And if this sounds familiar to you, you are not alone, because this happened to me all the time. So I completely understand this. But here's what's really happening. Autistic and ADHD kids communicate directly. They say exactly what they mean. That's not fair. We need to do it this way. That's not following the rules. I need you to stop talking to me. To neurotypical adults, this sounds very rude. It sounds disrespectful. But here's the truth. They're stating genuine needs in the most efficient language available to them. People often think that because they use words to communicate, that they are coming into a conversation or interaction in the same way. And that's simply not true. They're genuinely saying, this is what I need in the way that they can in that moment. And that is the truth. So let me give you an example. Let's say 10-year-old Matthew, he keeps getting sent to the principal's office for being disrespectful and rude and bossing kids around during group projects. And when I stepped back and I looked what was actually happening, Matthew was not bossing, he was organizing the project. He said things like, "We should start the research," or "That won't work because we don't have enough time. We only have 20 minutes." He wasn't actually trying to control anyone. He was problem solving out loud. But because he said it directly without throwing a, "Well, what if?" or "Maybe we could," or "What do you think about this?" other people think it's bossy. Or Jake, 13-year-old ADHD. His teacher kept marking him down when he would interrupt and say, wait, that doesn't make sense. When something contradicts the information he knows already, the words come out immediately, right? There's this urgency there, this intensity, this anxiety. I would say that this is a mismatch of what he already knows. And this is confusion. This is asking for clarification. There is no disrespect here. That is not the intent. He needs more information because he's confused. But he's told he's disrespectful. And then people are mad at him. Here's what I see over and over again. Neurodivergent kids, they sound sometimes like they're angry while they're explaining something to us. They might sound demanding, stating what they need to feel safe. They may sound dismissive when they're actually trying to help. Their brain is focused on the content of the message, not on the managing how it will be received by the other person. When we assume, which our nervous system will do because it sounds rude, it sounds angry. When we assume negative intent from this child, when we tell ourselves they're being rude, they're being disrespectful, we miss what they're actually trying to communicate. We don't even get that far to consider it. As a child, I was trying to help. I was trying to help solve problems. I was trying to communicate my needs. I was trying to communicate confusion. But others only heard my tone and not my words, not my intent, and definitely not my genuine attempts to contribute to the conversation or be a part. So my directness was punished, not understood. You just stop trying, and that's what I did. So why do we react so strongly to the tone of neurodivergent kids? Here's what typically happens. When a child speaks in that tone, it just hits you wrong. You might notice that your shoulders tense, your jaw tightens. I know that happens to me. You might feel hot. And before you've even processed the words they use, your nervous system decides that was disrespectful. They cannot talk to me like that. This happens incredibly fast. It's faster than conscious thought. But this is the important part. Here's what I need you to hear. The discomfort you feel is information about you and your history. It's about you. It's not proof that a child is being disrespectful. Most of us were raised where we weren't allowed to say things in certain ways or have a tone. A lot of us were raised where expressing our needs was seen as bratty and selfish. Many of us heard, because I said so. We didn't really get an answer. We're left with a bunch of confusion. We learned that children should only ask for things in a certain way. They need to hint at it politely. They should never feel like they deserve something, right? Those experiences for us, they live in our nervous system. They were around when our development was shaped. And so parents, teachers, all of us, when children communicate directly with this tone, it activates that for us. And this happens to me too. Even though I know this information, the other day, my child was like, I need this right now. He didn't say please. He didn't give me a flowery explanation. And when it came out of his mouth, it wasn't really the words that my body was reacting to. It was the way he said it. It was the tone. It was the volume. It sounded so demanding to me. And it just triggered these emotions where my shoulders went up and my breathing changed, my heart rate increased. And then I paused and I recognized this is my history reacting, mine before he was even born, not my child's intent. They're asking for what they need. And I want them to. I want to focus on the words and I want to be thankful that they are telling me what they need instead of staying silent. Here's what makes this even more complicated. When kids are losing their ability to hold it together, they can get louder, more intense, more urgent, just like us. But not because they're trying to be demanding, because their nervous system is maxing out or has already maxed out. So when kids are dealing with sensory overload, they might sound really sharp in their tone. Stop talking or turn that off. Not because they're being rude, it's because the sound is genuinely painful and they're in survival mode. They're trying to feel better. When we assume disrespect instead of distress, instead of pain, we miss the point. We end up unintentionally making things even worse. We get mad at them. So, what's the alternative? Recognize that the child is not being demanding. Easier said than done. This takes practice, and I practice every single day. They're communicating the only way their brain knows how to in that moment. And that may be more direct than you're used to or comfortable with because you didn't get to do that. It may be more clear. It may be without those neurotypical social softening that kind of like wraps around and apologizes. I'm sorry, but can I? Let's talk about what this does. When kids are constantly corrected for their tone, they learn that adults are not listening for meaning. Adults and other kids, they're listening for mistakes. And over time, so many kids, I would say the majority of neurodivergent kids start to mask. They speak less. They monitor every single word. I often hear parents say, I walk on eggshells. They probably are too. Many of my clients are continuously scared that they're going to say the wrong thing. They're going to say something in the wrong way. So, what do? They avoid upsetting others by just not talking, or they minimize their needs so much. I've seen kids make themselves physically small when they're talking about these things, like they're trying to disappear. You may have noticed whispering. Sometimes children want to say how they feel, but they're so scared that you can barely hear the volume. Kids who constantly apologize, again, when they don't do anything wrong. I'm sorry, never mind, I'm sorry. Or I'm sorry if I did this, or I'm sorry if I did that. They've learned that making themselves as small and quiet as possible is the safest way to exist. I see teenagers who won't ask for help, who can't express needs in their friendships, who don't speak up when they're being harmed. Parents say they don't have good communication skills. It's not necessarily the skills deficit. That child learned through hundreds and hundreds of corrections all the time. They get corrected so often. They've learned that their words are dangerous, that how they naturally communicate gets them in trouble, that knowing what they need and being clear about it makes them demanding, it makes them bad, it makes them selfish. I was that kid. I became an expert at silence. I made myself as agreeable as possible. It made me easier to manage as a child, but it made me incredibly vulnerable to harm as a child and an adult. I learned that stating, I don't feel comfortable, or this doesn't feel right to me, or you're not treating me well, that's rude and disrespectful. I don't want that for your child. You don't want that for your child. You don't want that for your student. You don't want that for your client. So, what do we do instead? First, the mindset shift. Being able to say, this doesn't feel fair. I need help. That won't work for me. I need this to stop. These are not problem behaviors. These are essential life skills. And I would say safety skills. I would go as far as saying that, because these are the skills that will help your child set boundaries to protect themselves from harm. Many neurodivergent kids who get labeled as bossy or rude are actually demonstrating this strong self-awareness, clear communication, natural problem-solving abilities. These are strengths, not deficits. Now, here's the tool that changes everything. When you feel your nervous system reacting, and it comes on fast, believe me, I know it does for myself. The thought, that's disrespectful or that's bossy, I want you to try this instead. It's a 4-step pause. Step 1, again, notice your body before you open your mouth. We ask kids to do this all the time, but we don't do it ourselves. Notice your body. For me, my heart starts pounding again. My shoulders get tense. My throat feels like it's closing up. Number 2, name your story. I like to use the fill-in, I'm assuming. So anytime you start a sentence with I'm assuming, you're going to put yourself in a place where you can step back and take a look outside of just your body's reaction. Because remember, your body's reaction is about your history, not your child, not your student, not your client. So here's an example story. I'm assuming they're being disrespectful. They should ask nicely. Step 3, get curious. What else might be true? Ask yourself, what else might be true? What do they need right now? Is this really disrespect? Or is this child or teen being clear? So when you notice what your body is doing, when you name that story, I'm assuming, your body is going to tell you a story. It's usually going to be they're disrespectful. That's going to be the default one, right? But until you notice it and name it, you're not going to be able to be curious. You're not going to be able to get past it. You're going to be stuck. If you are stuck there, that means that you probably had a pretty painful story growing up. And what's beautiful about us doing this work now, we get the chance to do something different, not only for our kids, but ourselves. So just to review, step 1, notice your body. Step 2, name your story. Step 3, get curious. What else might be true? What do they actually need right now? Number 4, respond to the need, not the tone. This is about the need. I'll give you an example. So say your ADHD child blurts out at dinner, "This is taking forever. We need to eat now." Your old response is, "Excuse me? I am making this for you. I am doing the best that I can. I am tired. That was rude." Now here's the new response. You notice first, I feel annoyed. You name your story. I'm assuming that they are not being appreciative of me making this food for them and they're being demanding. I want to get curious. So you say, wait a minute, my child has ADHD. They feel time differently. When they're hungry and dysregulated, it's going to feel intense. It's going to feel overwhelming. So nothing ever happened outside of your mouth until the response. It sounds like you're really hungry. Dinner will probably be ready in about 5 minutes. Do you want a small snack to hold you over? That is so different. That old response, it corrects the tone and it teaches a child that their need does not matter. The new response acknowledges the need, validates that child's experience, and you're also showing that you can problem solve together. Here's another example. An autistic child says, I need everyone to stop talking. Don't talk anymore. The old response might have been, that's rude. You don't tell people what to do. We can talk if we want to. But here's the new response. First, you notice that you're feeling defensive and that you thought that was rude. And then you name it. I'm assuming they're trying to be controlling. I'm assuming they're selfish. And here's the curiosity. That was an intense thing that they just said. I'm wondering if they're overloaded. They often go through things that I have no idea about because they don't know how to share it or when to share it or what to say. And here's the new response. That sounds big. Are you getting overwhelmed by the noise? Because we can step into another room. Here's another example. A child is really upset because some kids are playing around some bushes at recess. And she says, don't do that. Don't go around those. Don't go around those. Stop it. Stop it. Don't go around those. Get away. It seems like she's being very bossy to her peers. And the teacher tells her to leave them alone. Let them play. Stop bothering them. What the teacher missed was that child knows a lot about plants, a lot about plants. And she knows that particular plant, some people are allergic to it. If that teacher had used these 4 steps, they would have been able to get that information because it wasn't about the way she was telling them to stop. It wasn't about the tone. She wanted her peers to be safe. We can look at this differently in a way that doesn't damage the communication and sometimes the very limited communication kids have in the first place. So here are some supportive phrases that you may want to consider practicing. Help me understand what you're trying to say. It sounds like this is really important to you. I can hear that you need something. What's happening right now for you? Your brain is working really fast right now. You're faster than me right now, so I need to catch up. Can you help me understand? I really care about what you have to say. Can you show me what's bothering you? Here's something really important. You're going to mess this up sometimes because I do too. I do too. Old patterns run deep. When it happens, because it will, it happens to me, repair is what matters. Repair matters more than perfection. So go back to your child, go back to your student and say, I reacted to you in a way where I wasn't really listening to the words you were saying. And that wasn't fair. Can we try this again? Another one is, I called you bossy when you were really just telling me what you needed. And I'm sorry because what you need matters. You matter to me. This teaches them something so incredibly important, that mistakes can be repaired, that adults can be wrong and own it. It teaches them that their voice matters. And having needs is okay. Having needs doesn't make you bad. These moments of repair, they build more trust. We're showing kids that you will make mistakes. You don't have to feel this incredible shame and hide them, because we make mistakes too. Here's what's at stake. When you choose to get curious instead of just corrective, when you regulate your own nervous system before you respond, before your mouth opens, when you look for the meaning underneath the words, you're teaching a child that they are worth understanding exactly as they are. You're teaching them that their voice matters, that their needs matter, because clarity isn't demanding. When they speak, we should listen to them. You're teaching them they can trust themselves and they can trust you. This is the parent that I'm trying to be. This is the person I'm trying to be for myself. Not perfect, but intentional. I want to be a person who's always willing to repair and take ownership. I want to teach my children that their neurodivergent voice, direct, honest, clear, this is not something to hide or fix or make small. Because when you make yourself small, you think you're not worth anything. You feel alone. And that can set you up for a lifetime of challenges. So this is your challenge for this week, and mine too. I'm taking this on myself. Pick one interaction. When your child or your student uses a tone that triggers you, just pause. Just pause. Try the 4 steps. See what happens. And if this helped you see your child or your student differently, please share this episode to one person that you think could benefit from hearing it. Share it with a coworker, share it with your partner, share it with a person you co-parent with, share it with your own parents. Share it with another parent who you feel like, wow, this could really be good for them too. And if you experience this type of thing growing up, I want you to hear me tell you, your voice has mattered this whole time. And it still does. And you should be heard. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Oh, one more thing. I'm jumping in for a quick reminder about this amazing live workshop that's coming up. A Better 2026, a gentle reset for overwhelmed parents. It's a live workshop created for you, those of you who want more peace and less survival mode. Again, you don't need a perfect plan. You don't need more to do. This is about creating steadier ground under your feet in a way that actually fits your life. So go down to the show notes and click that link. I look forward to seeing you there. Take care. If you found this podcast helpful, I greatly appreciate it if you could take a second to give it a 5-star review. With your positive feedback, I can continue bringing you free, valuable information. As an extra thanks to you for sticking around, There are special gifts waiting for you in the show notes. You'll find links to free resources on supporting neurodivergent kids and teens with social interaction, emotional regulation, and more. So come on down to the show notes and get your free resources. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
All content provided is protected under applicable copyright, patent, trademark, and other proprietary rights. All content is provided for informational and educational purposes only. No content is intended to be a substitute for professional medical or psychological diagnosis, advice, or treatment. Information provided does not create an agreement for service between Holly Blanc-Moses Crossvine Clinical Group, the interviewee, Holly Blanc-Moses LLC, and the recipient. Consult your physician regarding the applicability of any opinions or recommendations with respect to your symptoms or medical condition or the symptoms or medical condition of your family member. Children or adults who show signs of dangerous behavior toward themselves and or others should be placed immediately under the care of a qualified professional.